The difference between you and me,
Yes, tell me.
you have a lot of stress, and I don't have any. And that's my secret.
What? Wait, say that again?
You deal with a lot of stress.
Okay.
I mean, I had stress too when I was younger, and I have plenty of friends at my age that have stress. It's usually over their health.
Yeah.
I don't live with stress. I
Oh.
really don't. And I think stress is what brings on whether if I get hot flashes in the middle of the night, it must be because I'm stressing. It's not, I don't think it's a a biological thing.
Huh. I'm sitting here processing this because I think you're right.
No, I'm sure I'm right.
Because when I think about some of the medical experts that we've had on, they talk a lot about how chronic stress causes inflammation. Inflammation causes all kinds of issues in your body. And so I think that's really interesting. So how did you get to a point where you don't have a stressful life or you
Okay.
don't, and so when I think about stress, there's both the things in life that are happening around and to you that can cause stress. And then there's the stress that you personally create, right? Because you ruminate or you worry or you complain. And if there's one thing I've observed about you, you don't ruminate. You don't worry. You tend to live in a state of generosity and gratitude. Were you always like that?
No, I definitely was not always like that. But I thought a lot about this, and I thought about you and I talking, and I think that people live with fear, and fear starts the moment you're born. You know, you come out of this wonderful, warm body, swimming around, and all of a sudden, holy shit! Here you are in this world, and you have fear,
Yeah.
and you live with fear the rest of your life. So at some point in my life, and I had a difficult childhood, I realized that that there wasn't anything I could do about that. I couldn't take it away, but I could face it, and I could realize that I could create my life exactly the way I want it. I can be happy or I can be sad, but I create it. Somebody out there is not creating that for me, just me. So when I wake up in the morning, I create the day that it's going to be. And that includes stress. So stress to me, it's like an addition. It's something you've added on to your day or to your person. So if you can, and I know it's a cliche, but if you really, really can strive to live in the moment, you can eliminate a lot of stress. Because if you allow your mind to go into the past, I should have, I wish I had, I could have. If you can get rid of that and not worry about, well, if I do, but only think about what's happening like right now, like you and I together right now. It's not what you're going to cook for dinner or what you said to your husband or a conversation you had with Kendall or Sawyer. It's just you and me right now because that's all you can have is you and me right now.
People want to know, what is your secret to staying young at heart and young in your mind?
Staying connected. Staying connected to your friends, old friends, extremely important.
So how did you stay so connected to your friends when your friends literally live all over the world?
Well, Mel, I have to give you some credit here.
Me?
Yes, you. Because after Ken died, and I didn't have anybody in my life, and I'll never forget this either. This is before you started into the business. I rented an apartment in New York, as you remember,
Oh, yeah.
by myself, which was a kind of a lonely experience, actually, because went to dinner by myself, and but of course, as soon as people realized I had an apartment, they started coming. But it's still, being in a big city alone can be very lonely.
Right, because you see people everywhere.
Yeah. But I was right next to the Hudson River, so I was running and I took my bike. So I stayed active physically. But I remember mentioning to you that I was going to go to Florida because I have a house in Florida. And I didn't know, what I was going to do. And you said to me, pick up the phone and call some of your friends and make sure you have something on your calendar before you hit the ground in Florida. I'll never forget that. And it made a difference because I had something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just had a blank slate, and I probably could have felt pretty sorry for myself.
Yeah. And what's your new mantra? Are you allowed to share it?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
It's called Sa Ta Ma Na. And they sing it first. They go, Sa Ta Ma Na, Sa Ta Ma Na. And they do that for probably 25 times, and then they whisper it, Sa Ta Ma Na. And then they do it silently in your head. And while you're doing it, you use your hands.
What do you do with your hands?
Sa Ta Ma Na.
Oh, so you do the fingertip.
Yes,
Sa
ma,
ta ma na. And
Now-
you touch your first finger,
Yep.
then the second to your thumb. Ma na.
Now, the woman that teaches it, she's a yoga teacher, but she has taught this all over the world to people with Alzheimer's
Really?
and dementia, and has actually proven that she can stimulate your brain if you continually do that every single day.
Well, I don't doubt it. I mean, if you listen to some of the brain experts, you're basically talking about what I believe is called I'm going to forget the name. It's neurobics, where you are combining a intentional thought with a physical movement.
Oh, okay.
And it's one of the fastest ways to create new neural pathways. It's a whole field of study called neurobics. And that's what you're doing. You're
That's what I'm
basically
doing.
pairing intentional thought with a physical movement of touching each one of your fingers to your thumb.
And I had my group, I have a group called the Vermont Chicks, which are my old friends from many, many years. And we were up here in your gym.
Yep.
And we had her over here for a private class. And now every one of my friends is doing it.
So you walk 5 miles, and you have walked 5 miles a day since I've known you. And we've known each other almost 30 years. And you get really grouchy if you don't get your walk in.
If I don't exercise, I do get grouchy. But don't you?
Well, some days.
Well, when things become a habit and you can't do it, it makes you kind of, upset.
Yes.
Because it's something that you want to do and it's part of your routine.
It's what makes you feel like yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think this is a really important thing because you have walked or run 5 miles a day since I've known you. And that is a core habit. And what do you notice about people that you know your age who have continued or who are mobile versus people who are more sedentary?
Well, I think people that are more sedentary at my age,
Yep.
I think they're depressed. I mean, I have a lot of older friends that would not even admit that they're depressed. But they don't go out or they don't, there's always something wrong. I would have done so-and-so today, but look at the day, it's raining.
Yep.
As if raining has anything to do with their day.
Yeah, it's true.
But I have a lot of younger friends, and that's very important as you get older to have a lot of younger friends. I have a lot of friends. That's also very important. I think being social is almost more important than exercise
Why?
because it makes you feel loved. And if you can wake up every day and know that you've got people that love you, you feel good about yourself.
We have a lot of people that write into this show who say they have no one. And if you were to talk directly to somebody who feels like they don't have anyone who loves them in their life, because I'm always surprised by the number of people who write in about this. What would your advice be about how to get started?
I could, without a skipping a beat, I would start by taking the hospice training
Oh,
and go and take care of somebody. Because who you take care of is going to give you love. And it's going to make you feel so good about yourself. Even if you don't have your neighbor or your friend, if they don't love you, the person that you are taking care of will love you. It makes a very big difference. I've been doing hospice for over 40 years. And, you know, people say, I don't know how you do that. You know, these people are dying. It is the most rewarding thing that you can do. And, you know, your husband does it now.
yeah. What do you get out of it?
A tremendous feeling of satisfaction that I've contributed to somebody's life. You know, like Judy. Like I went and saw her this morning. And even if I only spend an hour, this is a very good friend, as you know, of mine who has Parkinson's. You know, if I only came in for 15 minutes, she's grateful. You know? You just have to make the time. You can't say that you're too busy. And so for the people that feel very lonely, that don't have anybody that love them, they can create love by taking care of somebody else.
That is such beautiful advice. Judy Robbins. Everybody, she's going to be 86 and she's dropping knowledge. How old were you when you ran your first marathon with me?
70,
How old were you when you jumped out of an airplane for the first time?
81.
God, woman.